Hey there, it's David here, and welcome to Hot Tech Tapes, a little show where I and sometimes special guests share our thoughts on RuPaul's Drag Race. And today, I have very extra special remote correspondent Foster with me after numerous popular demands. Say hello.
Hi, thanks for having me back. I'm very excited to talk about this episode. Quite a bit happened tonight.
And we're filming this right after, so our feelings are fresh, our emotions are at a boiling point, and I'm real excited to chat about this. Just a little disclaimer, neither of us are drag queens, drag performers, or experts on drag, so we're just fans of the show, expressing our opinions and trying to start a conversation with you other fans out there. Mm-hmm. Without further ado, we're going to review episode 2 of All Stars Season 3. Do you remember the title of the episode?
No. VH1 Divas Live, something like that maybe? That was the name of the thing, so we'll go with that.
So we're just coming off of the debut episode's surprising elimination of Morgan McMichaels. I was definitely shocked that Bendela chose to send her home over Chi-Chi. And so, we start off with Bendela being very emotional and weepy about having to make that decision. Do you think that was genuine?
Yes, I think that's very her, but it was a bit too much for me. I forget who said it in confessional that she was being, I think it was Shangela. What did she say? She was being boohoo fish. And that's true. I think it was from a genuine place, but you know, if you're going to keep winning challenges, you need to be prepared to send someone home. Everyone knew Chi-Chi did worse, and Chi-Chi should have been sent home. But she kind of tried to blame Morgan for what she said as the justification for sending her home.
It was a very shady moment. I think that it was prime, sort of almost Mean Girls-esque, Gossip Girl-esque. That's more relevant to my interests at the moment. Just smiling and saying the PC thing while kind of stabbing the person in the back and using their own words against them. I was here for it. I thought that it was a respectful decision to make, especially with how outspoken Morgan was about sending the fiercest competitor home.
I guess just for me, if she was going to do that and that was her reason, I just would have respected a little more honesty and for her to be a little more straight up about that, you know? Don't give us this whole weepy, oh, it's so hard to do this. Just send her home and be yeah, she wanted the stronger girl to get sent home, so I did what she wanted. I sent the stronger girl home. Just be real.
Okay, so I was also very hard on Chi-Chi and her performance from last week until, I don't know if you saw this, apparently Milk at a viewing party during one of the ad breaks said that there were various aspects of Chi-Chi's performance that were not shown, that she was killing it in rehearsal, hit all of the baton tricks perfectly. Backstage in the wings, her hand got cut on a set piece, split open. It was apparently a really bad injury. Oh. And so if you watch it back, she's actually wearing a bandage on her hand. And so that's why she was dropping the baton and probably even without the baton stuff, just distracted and her head was somewhere else during the performance.
Whoa.
It's but she stuck through it and soldiered on. Also, the whole backstory of her performance was that she was trying to be a majorette and give a shout out to historically black universities. And so the shoes were sort of a part of that authenticity of the outfit, but there's no excuse for the hair. I do think it's interesting that they didn't show any of that other stuff though.
Yeah, I had not heard any of that. I think that was the editing trying to do her a solid because she really did not even show very well in what they did show. But I think if they had given you the full story of Chi-Chi and made it this whole saga, and then she gave that really shitty performance, people really would have been even more mad that she didn't go home.
Really? I felt like it would have given people more sympathy and understanding for why the performance was so bad.
You might build a story of why she didn't do well, but at the end of the day, the wig wasn't good, the look wasn't good, the talent wasn't good, the shoe was dirty, and even if she's trying to honor historically black colleges and universities, it wasn't draggy enough, but also it wasn't really entertaining. Sorry.
I thought that Chi-Chi would go home even before the episode started, just going off the recent interviews, her energy's been super low.
Exactly. She didn't even seem present. Yep.
Going into the minds of the editors, the production team, this episode, the ending was going to be a huge twist, and they wanted to make it as much of a surprise as possible. I think that they do know who the winners choose to send home before the lip sync happens.
Oh, certainly.
I just think that weighs into the person winning the lip sync. I do think they chose Ben most of all because she was going to choose Morgan. and they wanted it to be this big surprise because they saw the narrative of Chi-Chi being the obvious one to go home first. It could have been edited another way, and Aja would have been the clear winner. I thought that they both did really well, and this decision was based more on the person they were choosing to send home.
You know, normally I would have time for those conspiracy theories, I guess, but I just literally don't see it that way. I think Ben actually won that lip sync hands down.
Anyway, okay, so after that wonderful little episode 1 tangent, back to what's going on in the workroom. Chi-Chi accuses Milk of not really measuring up in terms of her performance in the variety show.
Yeah, she says that she had the least impressive talent. That's what she said. They chose to show quite a bit of Milk being real shady in the confessional again. Which, if you actually look at some of these pieces, you can tell that this is just like she's making a joke and she knows she doesn't mean this. Like when she says like her song is going to become more famous than Supermodel. Like, obviously, she doesn't believe that, but they present it to you as if she's coming off that way.
They are definitely giving Milk the villain edit, along with a couple other queens. The editing team is getting pretty heavy-handed with this season so far, of doing that sort of technique of taking a joke and making it into something that is being posed as, like, a serious comment. They did that a lot with Thorgy in this episode. It's kind of clear that there's a lot of manipulative editing going on to cause more tension than there probably actually was.
David, I feel you, and I want to support you on that, but Thorgy's a crazy person. I'm sorry, I like Thorgy a lot, but there are like 3 elements of Thorgy, right? Okay, like wild, exuberant, tacky, big energy Thorgy, paranoid, crazy in her head, worrying Thorgy, and bitter Thorgy. Those are like the 3 flavors of Thorgy, and you got all of them in this episode, so she doesn't need to come back now.
Wow, you are a fan. I tweeted during the episode, I was like, the ghost of Nina Bonina Brown's inner saboteur just took over Thorgy's body. The casting thing, like everything was so parallel.
Thorgy is the OG inner saboteur, okay? Like Nina came after, let's be real. Maybe Jasmine Masters.
Right.
But really, Thorgy perfected the art form.
Ru comes in, announces the challenge. It's VH1 Divas Live, which is one of my personal faves. I shrieked when I saw the promo clip.
I was excited because I thought the idea for this challenge from last season of All Stars was good, but it was not executed very well by that cast, so I was like really excited to see what they were going to do with this one. So Milk gets Celine Dion, which I thought was actually a really good fit for her, and we'll see if she did it well. Okay, I made a... that's all we'll say about that. Kennedy got Miss Janet Jackson, which I also thought was a very good fit. Aja gets Amy Winehouse, which I was very excited to see what she did with this, and we'll see what she did with it. Chi-Chi gets Miss Patti LaBelle. I was extremely excited for this, and we'll see what she does with it. Trixie gets Dolly Parton, which is where I start to think that this is rigged, and it's like, how can she not win? Trixie lives her life as Miss Dolly Parton, so I was like, wow, this casting is really flattering to everyone. Shangela is Mariah, which I'm sure you have a million reasons to tell me.
Giving me a million reasons to walk away.
I had a different opinion about things, but we'll get there. Thorgy is Stevie Nicks, which I love Stevie Nicks, so, Ben de la Creme is Julie Andrews, and Bibi Zahara Benet is Miss Diana Ross. So overall, what are you thinking about this cast?
I felt like most of them were like so on the nose perfect, and then there were just like a few outliers. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna go right to Shangela as Mariah. Bibi as Diana Ross didn't completely make sense to me.
Yeah, who would you have rather seen Bibi play though?
Oh gosh, I mean, who would I have rather seen Bibi play? Like a diva.
Maybe Whitney Houston?
Whitney could have been good. Like giving me some, I didn't know my own strength era Whitney, honestly.
Yeah. The question I have for you is, even if she had been Whitney or whoever else, would she have done it? Because I feel like what she did for Diana Ross was just be Bibi Zahara Benet. She had tiny little moments, but we're jumping ahead.
We'll get there. Overall, I think most of the casting was pretty spot on. I just don't think that Shangela, there are so many queens that can like pull a Mariah, but Shangela is just like too petite. Shangela is very bubbly and very perky and bouncy, and Mariah is more of a like, you know, if you watch an interview when she was 18, 19, 20 years old, she already had this old soul and this elegance, and she was more of a like, she would flow. So I couldn't get on board with that, but that's the tip of the iceberg, because the performance I had all kinds of other issues with.
girl, take 1,000 seats. Okay, I'm sorry. That was, no. I know you're a precious little Lamely. No, I disagree.
Well, we'll see how the performance goes. Okay,
I think we're going to disagree about this performance, because I liked Miss Shangela.
Well, she wasn't the issue. It was the track and the whole setup of the concept of the performance. It was all downhill before she even walked in the rehearsal room, you know? As a response to the casting, Thorgy feels personally victimized by RuPaul. She thought that being cast as Stevie Nicks was unfair, didn't give her enough room to play, that she was not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but felt like she was set up to fail, which gave me a lot of Nina Bonina vibes, that kind of moment.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Aja said. She is too close to Stevie Nicks to realize what room she had to make this funny and to make it entertaining. Aja's absolutely right. Come out there with like a big like top hat and a wand or like a cape and like a pentagram and like some crystal ball. When I think about Stevie Nicks, it's like layers of chiffon and she's twirling around and it's like drapey and all this stuff. And she didn't give me any of that. She wasn't able to like take what people think is a joke about Stevie Nicks. She wasn't able to detach herself from like the fandom of Stevie Nicks. And this, I'm also going to press you on this, David. You were being the exact same about Mariah.
Why are you coming for me for being a lamb?
Sorry, I'm just telling you, like, I thought Shangela ended up killing this, and you are too much of a fan of Mariah to acknowledge that she did exactly what she should have done with this role. And that's why
But the thing is, like, I can accept Mariah as the butt of a joke.
No, you can't.
Like, I just
you
think...
can't. David, the entire time I have known you, you have never
Yes,
been
I can. Okay, the weekend after that New Year's performance, Lady Swallows, a local Minneapolis queen, performed the audio from the lip sync fail, and I was here for it because she was
there.
like...
It was so good.
Right, exactly. I'm fine with a Mariah joke if it digs into what is actually funny about Mariah Carey and executes it accurately and well. I didn't think that this was a good joke, a clever joke. It was a cheap shot, and it was not even well executed. The vocalist on the track...
I'm willing to hear you out, but Shangela did not write the script or record the singing for this, okay? They had to work with what they were given. I thought the material from Mariah was better than any of the other girls got for their diva. So even if you don't like them, yes, I'm sorry, even if you don't like the material that they chose to do for Mariah, I thought that it was written literally for her to be the star. It was written for the person who got Mariah to win. And I think she did exactly what they wanted her to do with it to win.
Patti LaBelle soared miles over that. The impression of the vocalist was spot on.
I'm sorry, David. Okay, fine. We need to get into Miss Chi Chi. That Patti was a mess. What Patti was she doing?
I loved it.
I'm just saying, when I think of Patti, there are two Patties you can think of. Like full-on new attitude, 80s, like big, real hair sprayed out, teased up, you know, like that, like fun, bouncy Patti. Or like Miss Patti right now selling you her pies and her bob that's a little too long. And she has a little bit more of a jaunty movement and she's always kind of like pointing her finger at you like that. Those are the two Patties. What Patti did she give me? I mean, they recognize this Patti. This was not like the Patti that comes out to me.
This is how our point of views differ. I'm getting a sense of it, that your approach to this was more the singer as like the icon, the image, the celebrity, and I, as is typical, am like coming at it just from like a purely auditory, like musical standpoint in terms of like how accurate their impression of the singer
David,
is.
the Queens had nothing to do with that though. You can't judge these girls based on how well the track sounded.
I agree. I don't think it was not her fault. It was the production's fault. And I can't hold it against them that like the things that I find funny about Mariah are like stop singing my part now, baby, like her freaking out at backup singers, trying to tell people where they're supposed to go. I just think that that's a way funnier and like more authentically
But David,
diva approach.
she did tell people where she was going to go. She said, "Oh, I guess I'm moving over here now." That's exactly what she...
Yeah, she was being told where to go. She was being like carried around the stage. It just seemed more like a Britney Spears 2007 VMA. Like she's on Xanax and she's on stage and she doesn't know where she is. And like that's not what's funny about Mariah. Mariah is a diva because she knows what everybody's supposed to be doing and tries to tell them what they're supposed to be doing while she's doing her own thing. And so it was just very much the opposite. I thought it was like a general, cheap, broad brush strokes approach to like, oh, she's a diva. She must just like not know where she is. And that's not what's funny about Mariah. Anyway, that's all.
Okay,
I'm not gonna. I know I'm very personally attached.
Hey, I'm not trying to come for you personally. I'm just like, David, you are being exactly Thorgy and Stevie Nicks right now. You are too close to your girl, and you have tunnel vision. You cannot realize how ridiculous you're being.
We'll agree to disagree.
We disagree.
We'll agree to disagree.
We disagree. I bet everyone watching this video loved Shangela's Mariah. You tell us in the comments below, Mama. I want to see.
Oh, you better be careful. All those lamps that I got from the New Year's Eve review. Ooh, they're gonna come for you.
Boo-hoo.
Next little segment, we have the rehearsal. We're just gonna get through this pretty quickly. There was a lot of funky editing going on, like Shangela's diva entrance, which y'all know Todrick wasn't actually mad about that. She's just, being silly.
Right.
I love her rehearsal cape. The rehearsal cape was everything to me, especially when she swoops it around at the beginning of her moment.
This is amazing. No matter how many times the editors try to make us think that she's terrible for doing this.
Like the handhold moment where Todrick's like, I'm not actually going to be here holding your hand. Like, that's what Mariah does. That was so in character. I think that was
and
right.
I think what she did on the stage too was also very Mariah. It was all very Mariah.
Given the rehearsals, without having to listen to that busted track, I felt like Shangela was impersonating the character to her best ability. Even the shades, those are like the kinds of shades that Mariah wears to rehearsals. If you've seen like the pictures from the New Year's Eve rehearsals from this year, those are the Mariah shades.
It felt like she was consistently Mariah later to me too. I think maybe her chanteuse is a little too elusive for you.
Well, side note, I love that they refer to her as the elusive chanteuse. Like, Justice for Me, I Am Mariah, the album, best of the, 2000s in my opinion. But, we have Kennedy, struggling with the choreography. I believe that this was legit. I mean, I definitely believe that she just kind of makes it up on the spot as she's going, and she was given the hardest choreography. That said, they probably built it up a little bit more. Well, but no, given the final performance, she probably did struggle with this a bit because she did not seem fully present in the final version of this performance.
Kennedy's style of dancing is very different than Janet's, and ultimately when they go to judging, they critiqued her for not being staccato enough, which I think was the perfect thing. Because when you think about Janet's dancing, it is very pose. Maybe it was there in the choreography and she just didn't do it. But yeah, it seemed like it was genuine. At first, because Kennedy's such a dancer, I thought that she was just doing bad in the rehearsal on purpose so that if she did even mediocre during the challenge, they would let her sail by.
The queen that they did have an editing moment with in terms of dance was Ben de la Creme. They always do this. Every dance challenge, they have a queen that it's oh, she can't get this one dance step. Let's replay it over and over again and make it look like she keeps messing it up.
Yep.
And I just think that that's throwing a bone to the lowest common denominator of the audience who just really can't grasp when a queen is. It's just quintessential reality TV editing, the most rudimentary mess up. Just be oh, she keeps messing up that one note or that one dance step. Something very technical that people can latch on to. Thorgy was stubborn about Stevie Nicks. We've talked about this, but if you want to take this on.
I just think there was so much room for her to just be witchy. There's a really good performance that Raja did at Mickey's in a big hat with a pentagram and a big chiffon flowy thing doing, I think it's Rhiannon or Dreams, some Stevie Nicks song. And the thing about it is, if you actually analyze this performance, the look is not that impressive. She doesn't really do very much. She just kind of floats around, and yet still it is a good performance because she understands what the audience wants to receive when they think about Stevie Nicks. She doesn't have to give you the most authentically, because if you were doing authentic Stevie Nicks, you'd be in some weird white bustier thing with a long skirt, and you'd be stomping like this, and Tom Petty would be over there. The problem is that if you get too much into the realness, the authenticity of this person, the 14-year-old girls who watch this show aren't going to be able to relate to it. They don't know Mariah either, girl. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You need to give the lowest common denominator form of this person and then make it funny and make it draggy.
This just came to mind, but what if, I'm just, playing devil's advocate, Thorgy was trying to go for the Chad Michaels approach, where she's I'm not just going to be this schmaltzy drag Cher that everybody does. I respect Cher as a performer, and I love her deeply, and I'm going to try and be the authentic, definitive Cher, because she is good enough for drag.
If I can just stop you there, when people Cher, I called her Cher, when people Chad Michaels do Cher, or Coco Montrese do Janet Jackson, they're an impersonator of this person and they've honed this craft and done it for years. Thorgy is not a Stevie Nicks performer, and even if she did want to approach this with that mindset. A, that's not smart for this competition. But, like, B, she didn't even really deliver authentic Stevie Nicks either. She just went up there and didn't really do anything. She, like, was very inward. She just didn't think... I don't think she was aware of even how she was really coming across in stage.
BB as Diana Ross. The whole, like, Todd, again, with the editing, like, Todrick building up Diana Ross as RuPaul's favorite diva ever. Even in BB's confessional, you could tell that she was kind of, like, playing in with the joke of having pressure put on her, wasn't really taking it that seriously. She was just like, all right, Todrick, like, you're definitely putting pressure on me.
I just wish the show would cut some of this formulaic element, though, because, like, we, the fans, know by now what made the show so great is when it would be irreverent and poke fun at the formats, like the typical things that reality shows do, and now they're just fully falling into their own templates, and it's getting stale.
We did have Thorgy kind of like being shady towards BB, saying, well, she's just standing there not doing anything. Thorgy was definitely given a very bitter edit, she was bitter during the episode,
that's
and it
showed.
edit.
David, that's not edit. She's just actually that bitter.
Well, I guess the editing was the choice to include it all. Or at least it would seem. Maybe there was even more. I don't know.
There probably was more.
Chi-Chi as Patti LaBelle. This is like a super little thing, but Todrick just like singing and riffing Chi-Chi DeVayne's name while he called her up. It was just like a classic Todrick Hall moment. I don't know. I'm a fan. I'm a toddler. I think that's what his fan base is called. And after all of this talk, like Dayla saying how intimidating and scary he is, then just like cutting to him doing this fierce little run, I was just like, oh, she's really trying to intimidate.
Todrick is not intimidating or scary at all. Girl, I feel like Todrick is getting more annoying as a judge as time goes by.
You should watch his documentary. I know you won't, but you should, because his story is very compelling and moving.
No, here's the thing. Todrick is talented. Todrick on the show is getting more annoying the more he seems more confident in his role on the show.
So we conclude the rehearsal with Chi-Chi. We like skip half the girls for some reason. I'm sure we'll see it in bonus clips on VH1.com. It's fine. We had a little moment of like Thorgy adding herself into a group and Shangela being shady to Thorgy, shady to Milk. Shangela's being shady to everybody, but somehow doesn't come across as the villain because she's getting a hero edit mama. We get into the mirror moment. This was like, just a lot of chatting, reminiscing about how they were on their season and, how this challenge compares to the choreography and the other lip sync challenges. The only thing that I really picked out was the very obvious editing moment of Kennedy and Shangela talking over Thorgy right after Shangela was like, I'm gonna try and never interrupt you, girl. And this was basically the closest to self-aware the show became.
Right.
Like it was almost a joke about its own editing.
Yeah. Just
because of how extreme it was.
Yeah, no, I love this moment. I thought it was perfect. Well-contrived plot point. Good for you, editors.
So we get into the main stage. Rue's outfit, I wrote down very tablecloth ruffles. I'm not sure what you thought of Rue's outfit. I thought it was
I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I liked the sheen and the texture of it, but that's about it. I thought her face and her hair looked real good.
Watching Raven's, over the summer, her confessional about the whole process of getting enveloped into the makeup team and her and Delta being thrown into things, I think I've also developed a real soft spot and feel bad about how critical I was of Rue's makeup during season 9. But Raven herself admits that it was busted.
No, it deserved the criticism. It was a shocking change.
Anyway, they got it together now. It's all good.
True.
Smooth sailing from here on out. Loved Vanessa Williams' snowfall top. I was all about that. I think she looked great.
Yeah, Vanessa always looks amazing. Vanessa Williams is a real icon, She might not be a queen or she might not be really connected to the queer community, but she doesn't pretend to be. She's a real relevant woman. She's done things.
Right, and she's done things in almost every medium. She released albums as a singer. She was on network television. She was the witch in the Into the Woods revival on Broadway, thank you very much.
She has that status for me. She has a legitimacy, as opposed to she who will not be discussed again.
The other Vanessa.
Mm-hmm. We're just going to stop her right there.
All right, moving on. We get into the main stage performance. And first thing I wrote was that Milk looks nothing like Celine. And also the voice is that One Impressions lady, which I'll put her name at the bottom. I saw her live for some reason when I was in Edinburgh at the Fringe Fest. She does all of these impressions of Broadway queens. She does Bernadette Peters. She does Patti LuPone. She does Idina Menzel.
Let me just go in on this performance, though, okay? This was a real choice, this look of Celine Dion's, because they are correct. This is not an iconic look. And the thing is, Celine Dion has really had a fashion renaissance 2017 was such an impressive year for her, like all these weird fashion choices. She chose a look that was not good in the first place. It was sloppy and ugly and unflattering and like not fashion dough. I think she just was like, oh, I can do this easily. But it's like, why wouldn't you pick one of Celine's like real pop-in looks? You can either do Celine in her backwards suit, that would have been good, that's iconic. Or you could have been Celine's look from last year, this all white look with the bumpy cape and the hat, and then she's got the like her mono white look. That looks really impressive. I can send you an image if you want to cut this in, because that's the look, if I were a queen, that I would have wanted to do.
So then we have Kennedy as Janet Jackson, and I did not think they did her any favors with the track. Audio-wise, this was one of the worst impressions.
There was like weird reverb. Don't you think there was like the whole thing was just like odd and echoey in a way?
Yeah, and she didn't seem present. She seemed like she was out of her body. The lip sync was not in sync. It was just kind of, yeah, uncomfortable.
I'm gonna give Kennedy some props for her look. This like the full like purple latex look from the video for What's It Gonna Be. I was very ready to be excited, and then it just kind of flatlined for me.
I felt like she was maybe under-rehearsed. Like with another day of rehearsal, she could have really killed it, and it just felt like she wasn't prepared. And Drag Race, as they always say, it is a race. They are given so little time.
It's not drag walk, Kennedy. This is not a walkathon. This is kind of unfortunate.
Next we had Adore Delano, I love your work. Just kidding, it was Asha as Amy Winehouse.
Wow, Reed.
I liked her characterization. I thought it was spot on. That said,
Really?
She was definitely given much simpler choreography. It was very Sasha Velour at the end of season 9, like walk to one side of the stage, be carried on a chair.
Sasha Velour relies on brains.
Exactly, exactly.
No. I will just say though, David, I did not like her characterization. I thought she should have gone there more, and maybe other people might think that's disrespectful, and that's why she didn't do it. But I think that later we will see Aja's runway was, in my opinion, the best one.
Oh my god, so much
if
the best
Aja's
one.
characterization had been good, because in my opinion it wasn't, I think she could have won. Because really, she should have come out there with like a full bottle of like liquor. She should have like snorted a bump of cocaine at some point. What I said when I watched this is that she should have verbally like slurred her words off beat and said what the recording was saying off just a little bit in a British accent or whatever. She should have been like do that. That would have killed it. She would have won.
You wouldn't have been able to hear her, though.
That's what she needed to give for me. You know, maybe it's a little different now that she's dead, but I think enough time has passed.
It's so hard with something like that because you don't know who you're going to piss off, especially with a guest judge. Like maybe Vanessa Williams might be touchy about that. Like, I don't know.
Lotion Piano just really loves Lord. So, I mean, you gotta be careful with who you piss off.
I thought it was safe. I didn't think it was brilliant, but I just thought it was like, okay, that's a solid, acceptable interpretation. And then given the runway performance, I was really taken aback that she wasn't in the top. Really.
No, I think she wasn't in the top because her performance was bad.
I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was like safe.
If she had given you anything, made any one of those choices, then she would have won, probably.
Do you have anything else to say about Chi Chi? I know we talked about the Patti LaBelle moment a little bit.
It just didn't seem like Patti to me. Maybe I don't know Patti well enough, but like I was very unimpressed with Chi Chi, and I thought she should have been in the bottom.
I thought that the Patti vocal was really great, and I bought Chi Chi's
But
Patti
again,
LaBelle.
Chi Chi didn't have anything to do with that vocal.
But the whole performance, I mean, I take it all in at the same time as one thing, and I was about it. BB's backup dancing was very like present and entertaining for the Patti LaBelle moment. I don't know if like she caught your eye at all. But I was looking at BB in the back, and I was like, she was committing to that backup dancing for that number.
Okay, I'll have to give it a second look. She didn't really catch my eye, so. Trixie came out fully as Dolly Parton. I thought she was going to be in the top. She deserved to be in the top, in my opinion.
Really?
Trixie definitely deserved to be in the top before BB.
They were feeling BB's Diana Ross in the room more than they were feeling Trixie. Again, this is the second week in a row where I really feel like, and I know you thought Trixie should be in the top last week, but I felt like both performances were just like really solid, but she wasn't doing anything that you couldn't imagine her doing well. It was very like,
No, I'm going to repeat myself from last week again. Trixie showed more actual talent, Trixie and Thorgy both did, than any of those queens. And Trixie lives her damn life as Dolly Parton. I think the only real criticism I have of Trixie's performance is that her wig was too Trixie and not Dolly. It should have been like more like swoopy to the back like Dolly's hair. And maybe she could have worn some real big tits. But, like, that's about it. She was trying so much harder than BB was. Like, they acknowledge this, too, as like, yeah, we loved your Diana because you didn't really do anything. It is true. We're talking about BB now. She had a few moments, the hair bounce, where it did really give you Diana for, like, a flicker, a glimmer of a moment. But she did, like, nothing on stage.
Okay, Thorgy. Okay. All right. I see you. Actually, the one critique that I put down for BB had nothing to do with her performance, but had to do with her face. Because I actually thought that there was a little bit too light of a shade, a little bit of a rival to the Dorito going on for Diana Ross.
Okay. I wanted her to be a little messier in the makeup, actually.
You mean around the eyes, like a little bit more smudged, like eyeshadow?
Exactly.
I could see that. I could see that. I just saw orange, and I was like, that looks a little weird.
Aja really missed her own chance to be the third one in the top, but I think I would have put Trixie above BB for sure.
Especially factoring in BB's runway look, which I thought was not good.
No, it was so bad.
Cape aside, the fit of the actual outfit and the material looked very constraining, and she looked like. I definitely didn't agree with putting her in the top. I do want to give Trixie her props where they're due in that she really knocked the choreography out of the park.
Absolutely.
I felt like she was hitting every mark. You can tell that she was like probably up till 3 a.m. the night before, like rehearsing in the hotel or whatever. She was not about to let herself mess up any of the moves, and she really showed up and delivered that choreography. So props to that.
Exactly. Because that's the other thing too. I want to just build on that for a minute, David. Because like thinking back on it now, Trixie's performance was the one that was actually the most fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel that.
Maybe, and I know you probably don't agree, but Shangela's Mariah was also really fun to watch. And I think that's important. I think, at least for me, when I'm like reviewing, sometimes you get focused in on it too much. But if you like think back, like, who would I actually enjoy seeing in a bar doing this?
Yeah, that's fair. I felt the least uncomfortable for Trixie. I felt the most secure in that she was really good to deliver. I wasn't nervous watching her. After that was Thorgy. We've already talked about her a lot, but I want to mention that the vocal for this sounded like Miley Cyrus, uncanny Miley Cyrus vocal. Just if anybody feels me, then please acknowledge. Next, we have Ben de la Creme as Julie Andrews.
I knew this would be so good.
All I wrote was that Milk was a good backup dancer.
She really was. But that is so insulting to Ben. She turned this out. She was given a lot to work with. Okay, again, the recordings that were done were very unbalanced, okay? Julie Andrews, Mariah, these were big parts that were written up well. She had the most challenging work to actually do lip syncing. And RuPaul called it out herself. She doesn't even know those words. I mean, she doesn't even know who was on last season, but she certainly could not recite those words. And I don't think even a lot of fans of Ru's music could say all the words to Azealia Banks' song, The Big Big Beat.
The shade is still running strong.
Ben deserved her spot in the top for this. It was one of the most impressive performances. I just don't think it was necessarily the most impressive characterization. She did what she needed to do, but I was far more impressed by Shangela's Mariah, by Trixie as Dolly, and that might be it, actually. Not a lot of real hits here. Last season's was better, probably, like Alyssa's Annie Oakley and stuff. I just think it was stronger. I think there were the weak points here were weaker.
I connected it more with the Kardashians musical for some reason. Maybe it's because that final little musical interlude was like a callback to that. Because they didn't also do that on All Stars 2, did they?
I think so. I'd have to watch it again.
Where they're all like step touching and it's like the same melody. Are they going to start just connecting them all with that same like final step touch, end of a musical number kind of a thing? Is this some sort of an arc being planned? I don't know, but I don't want to see the jukebox musical when they try and loop these all together and put it on Broadway.
Okay, word.
Not interested. Also, the legal disclaimer at the end.
That was silly. That was cute.
I think that was legit, though. Like, did the Kardashians start some drama which made RuPaul have to insert that legal disclaimer? That's what I want to know.
No, maybe they were, like, preemptively, like, getting in front of Mariah and her crazy stans, a.k.a. you.
I will abstain from even responding. I am not the reason. I would like to abstain.
Okay, so the runway happened. Let's talk about these runway looks.
Milk glamour.
I will say this in Milk's defense. I think she didn't have... Because you're supposed to recreate a look that was poorly received on the show, right? Milk didn't have a lot to choose from. She was eliminated episode 4 of her season, right? very early. And so literally the only other choice she has besides doing glamour and failing to do glamour was going out as male RuPaul. The weird one was really well received at the time. And her pregnancy with the red socks, I fucking love that. But I think that this was not that impressive of a glamour look. I think she was kind of set up to fail at this challenge because she just didn't have a lot to choose from.
Next we had Aja, which we've already concluded. Aja, for me, was just like, this is how you do it. This is how you take something that not only was read to filth on the show, but also became a meme, and just transform it into this, oof. It was everything.
Let me just say, too, girl, I did not hate Princess Disaster as much as all of these people do. They think it looked horrible and awful. I think there were things in that Heat Miser look that were, like, really, you know, that were okay. Like the wig, for instance. I didn't think the wig was a key problem in the first look. But this iteration of this look was so good. She looked beautiful. Her makeup was on point. Aja had by far the best look. In fact, I think most of the rest of these runway looks were not very good.
I agree.
This is why I'm so mad that she didn't go that extra mile in the characterization for Amy, because otherwise she would have won. Like, clearly would have won.
I just think this look alone should have been enough. It was, not only was it, like, conceptually good, but it was so finished. It was so well executed and clean, and so many of the looks that are coming up just looked kind of messy. They looked sort of half done.
Yeah.
And this was just, like, refined. I was really, really proud of her just seeing this walk the runway.
Next look.
Chi Chi, Neon Realness.
Okay, no, this was bad. Chi Chi ripped off Bob's paint drip on her head, on her look. So for me, this felt like recycling somebody else's idea from that challenge of your season. Chi Chi had so many questionable looks. She could have picked a different one. I know she felt that was a low point for her, that pink neon bathing suit.
Yeah, and it's got the Michelle quote, like the, you know, why are you out here in a bathing suit and a belt? Like, it's definitely her low moment on the show in terms of the story arc. I was a little bit more forgiving about it. The things that I nitpicked were more that the like paint on the outfit was red, whereas the jacket and the belt and the shoes were all pink, and that clashed for me. I felt like if it was more color cohesive, maybe it could have worked, but also that wig was never going to be a thing that I would like. Like, that just needed to be
that's exactly right.
different.
I hated the wig. I hated everything about this look, to be honest. And even though the original one was cheap, I liked that look better than this one.
Well, and that lip sync was still really, really good.
Right, the lip sync breathed some life into it, so maybe that's part of it. But that look I still prefer now to this one.
Trixie's ugly dress, I just said meh. I just thought it was like, that's okay.
This is the problem. Trixie should have redone her green look. The mint Cheongsam with the thing that she got eliminated on. She didn't have to redo that look, but she just should have done a different green look.
Well, yeah, because we've already seen so much pink at this point, and it's only episode 2.
Exactly. Like, this would have been a good break for her, because she's not going to show any green later on. The other thing I think she could have done that would have been really smart, actually, it's not even a runway look, but she could have redone, like, a Tan Mom look, because she got sent home on that same episode with the green challenge for doing Tan With You. So if she had gone out in a full, like, Tan Mom fantasy, or, like, Tan Barbie with...
Very clever.
Right, like, that would have been great. Her ugly dress, that was a bad runway, because her dress was, like, tacky 80s, but not, like, viscerally badly ugly. But this one wasn't either. Like, it could have been way worse for ugliest dress ever. And the problem is that it's just so confusing when everyone else isn't dressing ugly. Do you know what I mean? To, like, jump back to judging you on that.
Yeah, it just doesn't, it's too out of context. How did you feel about the crystallized chicken, Kennedy Davenport?
Okay, so I have some feelings. Kennedy, in the same way as Milk, I think, didn't have any choice, really, about what she had to do. But I Didn't Die, I Crystallized is so iconic that she literally couldn't pick anything else, even though she had some shitty runway looks. That said, I don't think she reinvented it enough. I think it would have been smarter for her to just tell a different Death Becomes Her story, like an equally ridiculous, convoluted story. Version 2 of But I Didn't Die. You know? I would have reacted to that a lot more strongly. Now, that said, she put a lot more effort into this. It is certainly not as confusing and bad as that iconic chicken rhinestone look with the black boots, but, like, I still didn't really feel this.
I definitely did not like it on the runway. I felt like both versions of it, the initial one and then the reveal, looked outfit-wise very unfinished, a lot of, like, things hanging off. But I know that she's not somebody to wear unfinished garments. So I'm not sure what about the clothing made me think that. But once we were backstage and she was having her one-on-ones with the top two, and there was some close-up on the face, and she mentioned stoning the wig and all of that.
Right.
I felt like from the neck up, it really looked beautiful. Like, it looked otherworldly, the contacts worked. It was basically the solution to what she was trying to do with her workroom entrance with all of the appliques on her face. Because in this, it looked more like she had been showered in diamonds and they were just kind of like frozen. And it was cohesive because there were pieces on the wig and all of that.
I guess. I wouldn't go quite as far and say beautiful, but the reveal was definitely better than the like Phoenix fire thing to begin with.
Thorgy's neon realness, it was very like Maleficent version of the neon realness. The outfit I wouldn't have hated had it been more hard, I guess. It was like almost there, and then the skirt billowing under her looked just kind of like some rags coming out of. I didn't hate it in concept. It just execution-wise, it didn't go there for me.
Yeah, there was something about the execution that bothered me too. This look did share something with the original look that inspired it, in that it felt like bad homemade. The black, shiny, reflective part of it felt way too much like some kind of tape, and it just felt like a weird crunchy kind of texture. The neon color is really not flattering to her. I did like the weirdness of the shape of the headpiece. But again, that felt like cosplay too. It felt like very like I did this at home, which is like cool, but it's like not very Drag Race.
When you said cosplay, you know what this look was in my mind? It was very Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, Green Goblin. If you ever saw any videos from that production, that is exactly. She should team up with the costume designers of that play and like make her fantasy garments, because that's the world that outfit lives in. Bendela came out in the pink jewels outfit. I thought it was just like a lot of beads flying around. She looked really weighed down by it. I'm not sure if you loved it, but I didn't like it.
No, David, I have a lot of feelings about this. This was fucking stupid, because that original look of Bendela's, was not a bad look. I don't think it was even in the bottom, or like she was in the bottom that week because of her look. She might have been in the bottom that week, maybe. I don't remember. But like, that was one of her better looks from her season. In fact, maybe the best runway look of her season. So for her to say that was one of her like bad looks that she's reinventing, no. But also, great job doing that, Ben, because this version of it looked way cheaper and way worse than the original.
But she wore the same earrings. She is the queen of recycling her previous show pieces.
No, I'm sorry. This was a fail. Like, she did not understand the challenge. This is Sasha Bell. I didn't understand the challenge. No. I don't know.
That alone, I think, should have knocked her out of the top spots, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But whatever. After seeing that, I just didn't understand. The top and bottoms for this episode it just didn't make sense to me.
I agree. It was very confusing. I think Aja, she owns the responsibility for why she wasn't in the top. She like kind of deserved to be for her look, but she didn't get there. Whereas Trixie, I think, fully deserved to be there on the merits of the performance, but she stumbled with what she chose to do for her look. So I see kind of why they did that, but the problem is there weren't enough people who like actually excelled and did well, because then the third person they chose to put in the top was BB, who like...
Yeah, well, she's the next one. We've already kind of talked about why we didn't like her look. Any additional thoughts?
The fabric looked really cheap. Uncomfortable to touch. Would you agree?
I felt like the idea of the cape, and like I liked that the cape was lined with red. I thought that was a good choice, because it always bugs me to see an unfinished inside of a cape. But the actual outfit that was on her body looked poorly cut. The slit in the skirt was like permanently open. It didn't look slick enough.
That said, I will also give BB some credit here too, though, because BB's looks in her season were all, and this is not shade, but her looks in her season were all relatively safe. She wasn't being given challenges to deliver a specific kind of look, really, either, to the standard that later seasons would.
Right. So, well, last we have Shangela. She came out in a bubble. Her Christmas Eleganza Season 3. The first thing that came to mind, and I don't think that this is a good thing, was just like, how uncomfortable was that to be in backstage? Like, I was immediately sent to not a place of fantasy where you're like transporting me to another world with a look. It was cool to see something new on the runway. Nobody had ever done this before.
When they announced this challenge, and I'm not sure if they'd even said Vanessa Williams yet, but I knew she was the guest judge, I knew immediately that Shangela was going to redo her Christmas look from when she had to lip sync against Venus with Frostula the Snow Hoe. But the problem is she didn't really redo that look. So she came out this time in a snow globe, right? It's not a bubble, it's a snow globe, but it had no snow in it. But that's the thing.
Yeah,
there was no snow in it, so you didn't get that. You thought it was a bubble. Like, what, is she Glinda the Good Witch? No. If you're in
I thought that she was supposed to be an ornament. I thought that she was supposed to be a Christmas ornament.
No, she's clearly supposed to be a snow globe. The look itself, I didn't think was very polished. The shoe kind of bothered me, and the shoe really bothered me with the look she decided to lip sync in, too. But this look I did not respond positively to at all, and they, like, ate it up.
I liked it better without the bubble. The bubbles on the shoulders looked cool, the little, like, earpieces. But I thought that her lip sync outfit overall was much better.
I guess.
I didn't see the shoe, but I really liked the hair and the outfit for the lip sync.
Sure.
You've got to say, though, her face looked pretty great.
Yes, and the wig was good, too.
Yeah.
And there was a callback, I guess, to what
is...
she did with the wig, with the things on the side of it, like the accoutrement, sure, but, like... Mm-hmm. Wasn't it, like, mostly purple? Like, I'm having a hard time remembering right now, but it didn't... I
think they were red.
It didn't feel very Christmas outside of being in a bubble and having no snow in your snow globe.
Yeah, it was a little... It was kind of confusing.
And can I just say, you're the second person I've talked to now, and neither of you thought it was supposed to be a snow globe. Like, neither of you got it.
Well, it would have been so easy to just throw some fake snow in the air. Like, how simple is that?
Especially since she got somebody to get her a jump rope. Like, she can get them to give her some fake snow.
It makes me think that there might have been a technical difficulty. Like, she had planned to do that and then, like, couldn't.
This is not that. This is not that, David. This is not that. I'm sorry. She just did not take the time to pay attention to detail. That's what I think.
We have the bottom three announced. It's Thorgy, Chi-Chi, and Kennedy. And Aja, Trixie, Milk are safe.
I rioted when I heard that Trixie was safe and not in the top.
It was the runway look. It was just so meh.
But so was BB's. And so was Shangela's. So was Bendela's. Everyone who actually was in the top had a really underwhelming, mediocre runway look, too.
I definitely think Aja should have been in the top. I know that you don't like her performance, but that outfit should have just overruled.
I think Aja maybe should have been top 3 safe.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Peppermint's Club Kid outfit being safe. That's exactly the same emotion. It's like, I don't care that her performance was what it was or whatever. The fact that this, like, jaw-dropping outfit and, you know, great moment, sometimes I think that it should just override.
You got to take both of them into account. I'm sorry, that's all I have to say. This Aja look and that Peppermint look are a good parallel. I agree with you.
This is definitely going to be one of the more talked about episodes in terms of getting the top and the bottom wrong. The editors kind of showed that they anticipated that by showing the queen's doubt in the back once they were cast as safe. So I feel like the show was very self-aware.
I'm sorry, Milk thinking she should have been in the top for this. Like, Milk should have been bottom 2 up to go home.
I thought that it took a lot of balls for Milk to be complaining about being safe in front of Aja. And for Aja to be actually interacting with her took a lot of maturity.
Absolutely.
Because if I were Aja, I would have just been like, girl.
We have to just say, in Thorgy's critique, she's, like, talking all over Vanessa Williams. Incredibly rude, and a wonderful callback to Thorgy having a pity party about how people talk over her. Oh my god, perfect TV.
I think that this was more editing. I think this was, whether it was like real or not.
No, she was clearly interrupting Vanessa.
They made it more than what it was, though.
No, you could see the look on Vanessa Williams' face. Watch it back. She was offended.
I think they used especially that final like shrugging clip of Vanessa at the end of it was very clearly cherry-picked from another moment.
I think you're looking for things that aren't there, and you can't. Sometimes that is just literally how it went. Well,
we'll never know. Those NDA contracts are...
Well, we'll never know from Thorgy. We can ask any of the other girls in the room, I guess. But
I do like that Vanessa Williams referenced Wilhelmina Slater. That's all I was looking for. Her calling out, like, the Black Devil Wears Prada, that's Wilhelmina. Because I watched all the way through Ugly Betty until the end. Cried so many times watching that show. And her performance is iconic. I highly recommend.
So they get changed to do their lip sync. Shangela's look is like cute, weird, like 80s ice dancer, but with a black pump that doesn't make any sense with it. I don't particularly like the hair.
It's Gaga. The hair is another Gaga hair.
Ben is wearing some, like, Mother of the Bride, but my daughter just died.
Yeah, I hated that completely, 100%.
Yeah. The lip sync is Jump by the Pointer Sisters. How do you feel about this?
I thought that it was going to be Jump, like the one that was on Glee. So I don't have a place to judge the song choice.
Really?
Jump, jump, jump. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, girl, yes. Okay, you're canceled. I will say, once Shangela pulled out the jump rope, I was like, oh, Shangela's gonna win for sure. But then Bendela just, I loved her like middle-aged white lady actions. Like, how am I supposed to keep up with this? Like, she's the awkward one, like trying to do the exercise tape at home, but she's not really fit and she can't do the stuff that they're doing. And she's just being like, she's getting flustered. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was cute. I kind of wanted Miss Ben to win, but it was like very clear she wasn't going to. And I also thought it was respectful of her that she kind of like acknowledged that Shangela was beating her. So
I have slightly different feelings. I understand what Bendela was trying to go for with this, but well, first off, I thought the reveal was kind of like meh. After Shangela's jump rope reveal, I was just like,
the reveal was meh. Yeah, it was not.
And then
great.
like there were parts where she fully just didn't lip sync, which I know the shtick is that she's getting winded.
Right.
But at what point does it become just like getting lazy as a performer and not keeping up with the track?
I disagree with you. I disagree with you 100%.
It's more impressive to act winded through the lyrics of the song and through the lip syncing than to just like throw the lip syncing away as a convention. There needs to be some sort of consistency in order for me to like fully buy that you are that character in that moment.
I disagree.
Also, there's like nothing to do with the bridge in this song, so they were both pretty awkward throughout the slow bridge, so I don't take away any points from her on that. But coming out of it, do you remember how Alaska on season 2 of All Stars was accused a few times of being like a very antagonistic lip syncer and would like get in the other person's face and try and intimidate them?
Yes.
So I thought that Bendela, while not doing that, was kind of doing a similar thing in that she was almost making fun of what Shangela was doing, like making fun of herself that she couldn't do it, but still like doing enough that Shangela was distracted from her own performance by what Bendela was doing in response to what she was doing.
I'm sorry. I have a totally different opinion of this lip sync than you. I thought it was great. I thought it was so funny when Bendela was literally for like 30 seconds just copying badly what Shangela was doing.
Regardless, I don't think that it threw Shangela off too much. Coming out of the bridge, you like see Shangela kind of clock what Bendela's doing and is like, oh, I see you, girl. All right, you're trying to be funny. And then she still kills it and wins the lip sync.
Right.
I think that the winner was correctly chosen.
Yeah, I agree. But I thought Bendela really kept up, though, and I thought that what she did was funny and really interesting.
Did you notice, like, Shangela's floppy pink, like, the wristband was flopping off of her hand at the beginning, and then they cut, and it's, like, on the floor. I was like, is that a nail? What is that? But I think it was just like a sweatband.
Yeah, it was a little fishy.
The final decision is all we have left to talk about. I thought from the jump that Shangela would probably save Kennedy and that Bendela would probably send Thorgy home, given the way they edited their little one-on-ones. And Thorgy was the one that ended up going home.
No matter who was lip syncing, if Thorgy was in the bottom, they would have sent her home just because of the like neurotic behavior that was going on.
I mean, the edit forecast from a mile away, anybody could have clocked this. I loved the mirror message moment, the drawing the dick on the mirror.
Damn.
I felt like this could be a sign that Thorgy's humor just may not be understood. This could have just been her trying to be funny.
Really? Because I was getting full bitter. I loved it, but that wasn't humor. That wasn't her being like pretending to be real mad. She was just mad. But I like that for authenticity.
I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know?
That would be a beautiful lip sync song. Giving You the Benefit by Pebbles. Oh my God. RuPaul, please make it happen. You don't even know that song, do you, David?
I do not.
Do you know who Pebbles is? What?
Oh, wait, shit. My camera only has 3 minutes on it.
Okay, well, this has been a great episode, guys. Tune in next week for more Hot Tub Tapes.
Handmaidens are in the background. I don't know if it was a composite shot or if they were actually on set creeping up behind her and she just didn't notice. This is going to be a mystery until somebody gets the tea from production. Next week, they're doing an Unreal challenge, which I love Unreal. I'm ready for it to return. So this is the next best thing. I hope that they give the show its prop. I don't know what the runway looks are because in the preview, they all look bug-eyed. I don't know if the challenge is some sort of anime thing, but all those looks were giving me cartoony eye moments, so that'll be fun to see.
I saw a little snippet of Trixie's look, and it looked amazing, so.
I am still going strong for Shangela. She's still my front runner.
Really? After everything you had to say about her, Mariah? Wow. I'm almost impressed with you, girl.
It wasn't her fault. I'm telling you, it was the production.
I'm still Team Trixie, Team anyone but Shangela.
Coming for me.
I respect both Shangela and BB. I think they deserve to be top 4 for sure, if not the top 3 with Trixie, but I think Trixie deserves to win.
Well, I do not think that BB is going to win. In fact, this is the theory with BB in the competition.
Okay.
And this is also, I won't take credit for this. It's something that I saw on Reddit. It's just like a fan conspiracy theory. But what we think is that BB is actually a mole, a plant and not actually competing, and will go all the way to the top 3, and then it'll be revealed that the winner is going to be chosen by BB, and so she'll judge them not only on their performances, but also on like how they conducted themselves through the competition backstage, how she saw them progress throughout the arc, and she'll be the one to determine which one of them wins.
Girl, I want to vomit right now. That better not be true.
That would be such a surprise ending.
Worst, stupidest twist ever. I don't believe this conspiracy at all.
Thank you so much to Foster for tuning in remote, taking the time to continue to give you guys what you've been asking for. We'll be back next week.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Let us know what you think. I'm very curious because me and David had very different takes here. So let us know what you thought about this episode. I'm going to be looking.
At the end of the day, this is all about starting a discussion with y'all, so leave your comments in the comment section below, give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can get updated the second we post these. We're going to try and get them up as soon after the show as we can, so you definitely want to be part of us discussing the events of every week. Make sure to leave whose team you're rooting for in the comments below. Other than that, I thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. All right, bye.
Bye. Good, we're done.
Hooray! Yay!
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, I'm hungry, bitch.